press play to listen to this article by Jack Blanchard, presented by Dalradian Gold. Sent tips here. Subscribe for free. View in your browser. Good Thursday morning. Scoop. World Cup warning. Parliamentary staffers have been warned they are at increased risk from cyber and personal security threats if they travel to Russia for next month's Football World Cup. An email sent out last night by the Parliamentary Digital Service, and immediately leaked to Playbook, urges staffers planning a trip to the World Cup to seek advice from the authorities before traveling. You may think you're just another fan, but you are at increased risk because of your connection with Parliament, the email warns. If you are planning on traveling to Russia, please contact the parliamentary authorities as soon as possible to arrange for advice on your personal security and cybersecurity. The message warns bluntly that parliamentary laptops and mobiles must not be taken to Russia, and that parliamentary email does not work there. Gulp. A message from Dalradian Gold. We've found one of the world's top undeveloped gold deposits in Tyrone, Northern Ireland. Dalradian Gold has sought planning permission to build a safe and environmentally responsible underground mine that will result in $1 billion of spending across Northern Ireland. Find out at www.dalradian.com. Driving the day. Stay close. Britain is proposing to stay aligned with EU customs rules and external tariffs until well into the 2020s as a bridge to an eventual new customs arrangement, senior officials in both Whitehall and Brussels say. Politico's Tom McTague and David M. Horn, Bloomberg's Tim Ross and the Daily Telegraph's Stephen Swinford each landed similar versions of what is essentially the same story last night, and it does not make jolly reading for hardline Brexiteers. Three senior officials involved in the negotiations from both the UK and EU sides tell McTague that Britain is floating a plan to replace the EU's controversial customs backstop, essentially keeping Northern Ireland inside the customs union, unless a better solution can be found, with a new measure that would keep the whole of the UK aligned with Europe until a long-term solution is ready. Key quotes. 1 UK official tells McTague the proposal would be strictly time-limited, and admits it may struggle to win over a skeptical Dublin government. Basically, it's keeping Britain in the external tariff until the new system is ready, the UK official explains. It would have to include a sunset clause. Both sides would need this. The question is how you find the language to persuade the Irish War Cabinet at war. Bloomberg and The Telegraph both report the plan was debated and approved by Theresa May's Brexit War Cabinet when it met on Tuesday afternoon. The Telegraph says objections were raised by senior Brexiteers including Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and Environment Secretary Michael Gove, but that they were outgunned and forced to give way. Swinford reports, a cabinet source said that Mr. Johnson, Mr. Gove and David Davis, the Brexit secretary, had made clear their objections to the approach. However, Mr. Davis was reassured after securing improvements, while other Eurosceptics eventually decided to swallow the proposed backstop. Guess who's not happy? Enter Tory Brexiteer leader Jacob Rees-Mogg, who already made his displeasure clear in Swinford's front-page scoop. He voices fears shared by many Brexiteers that dragging out the Brexit process means Britain may never actually make a clean break from Europe. We have gone from a clear endpoint to an extension, to a proposed further extension with no endpoint, Rees-Mogg says. The horizon seems to be unreachable. The bottom of the rainbow seems to be unattainable. People voted to leave, they did not vote for a perpetual purgatory. Slow progress. The new proposal at least means negotiators in Brussels now have something to talk about after weeks of cabinet deadlock over customs. McTague reports Britain has essentially been pleading with EU27 diplomats for extra time as ministers and officials work on their various customs ideas. Softer Brexit people on the British side have been urging us to wait, one senior EU27 official tells him. It's a kind of, have faith in us, we are working really hard on something we could all work with. I wouldn't call it optimism, more determination. The official adds, the reality is, absolutely nothing has happened in the last couple of weeks. We are waiting for something to emerge from London, but we don't have any great hope. Playing for time? The Sun's Harry Cole has another reading of events, however, with the UK minister briefing that it is Brussels that is playing for time as it watches the government suffer a string of Brexit defeats in the House of Lords. We warned, the EU are now negotiating with Parliament, not us, and they are playing for time while they see what MPs say, the unnamed minister says. In the weeds, behind the scenes in Whitehall, meanwhile, a new cross-government team of senior ministers has been quietly set up to consider the smooth running of the UK border after Brexit. The Interministerial Group on Borders was established earlier this year and allows secretaries of state or ministers from DEXU, the Home Office, the Department for Transport and DEFRA to discuss the practicalities of post-Brexit border issues away from the glare of cabinet committees. Politico's Charlie Cooper has more for our Brexit, Trade and Transport Pro subscribers. 1 to watch. International Trade Secretary Liam Fox is one of the cabinet hardliners on customs, and will be out and about today. He is due to take questions in the Commons from 9:30 a.m., then attend a meeting of the Board of Trade, before giving a live interview to LBC Radio later this afternoon. Talking absolute Balkan Sofia-style government, Theresa May will have her opportunity to discuss her latest Brexit gambit this morning at high-level meetings in Bulgaria. The Prime Minister is in Sofia for the EU Western Balkans Summit and will start her day with a three-way meeting with Europe's most powerful leaders, Angela Merkel and Emmanuel Macron. Later this morning May will hold one-to-one talks with European Council President Donald Tusk, who is desperate to make progress on the Brexit negotiations ahead of next month's EU Council Summit. May will then travel on to Macedonia, becoming the first British PM to set foot in the Western Balkans since Tony Blair visited in 1999. Main event, May is expected to hold a joint press conference with Macedonian PM Zoran Zaev later this afternoon. Message from Britain. Next year the UK is leaving the European Union, but we are not leaving Europe, May said in words released overnight. We will continue to work with our allies to protect our collective security and champion the European values that so many in Macedonia and the wider Western Balkans share. About that shared security, the row over Britain's exclusion from the EU's Galileo satellite project is getting ever touchier, with Bloomberg's Alex Morales reporting Britain may use the veto it still holds as a full EU member to block new contracts being tendered on the project this summer. Last night over dinner, May and her fellow EU leaders arrived in Bulgaria last night and sat down together for an informal working dinner of meatballs and buffalo steak. But as Politico's David Hirschenhorn reports, the hot topic was not Brexit but Donald Trump. Opposition to the U.S. president's swinging trade tariffs and destruction of the Iran nuclear deal united those around the table, and kept them occupied for almost 5 hours of talks. Several EU leaders reportedly spoke up in support of European Council President Donald Tusk's punchy Twitter attack on Trump yesterday afternoon. HT Lawrence Norman, Grenfell Fallout Report Day. The first major report in the wake of the Grenfell Tower tragedy will be published this morning, and you can expect it to be headline news. Former Health and Safety Executive Chairwoman Judith Hackett was commissioned to lead a review of building regulations and fire safety systems in the aftermath of the blaze. report will be published at 9:30 a.m., with journalists invited to lock in an hour earlier to read through its findings. The Guardian writes that Hackett will disappoint campaigners by proposing tougher fire testing, but not an outright ban on the combustible cladding and insulation blamed for Grenfell. Inside Housing got the original scoop. Not impressed, Tory peer Gary Porter, who chairs the local government association, tells the Mirror's Dan Bloom an immediate ban is needed to stop unscrupulous developers building more dangerous tower blocks. Not confident at all, he says. I don't believe that we will come up with an immediate solution on the base of the Hackett review. I think there will be a longer bureaucratic process that ends up getting up to a better place than where we currently are. But personally I don't think we can wait. There are buildings being put up now that need to be done in a way that allows people who live in them to sleep safe at night. From the horse's mouth, Hackett has the 8.10 a.m. interview on the Today program and will give evidence to the Commons Housing Committee at 3:30 p.m. Labourland Len on the 10, the BBC's John Pienaar landed an interview with Len McCluskey for last night's 10 o'clock news, and true to form, the Unite boss did not hold back. McCluskey renewed his attack on Labour MPs opposed to Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, suggesting they have gone stale and may face deselection by local pro-Corbyn members. In Corbyn's Labour, people have to respond to their local party members, McCluskey said. Now, if the local members decide they don't represent them anywhere and use the appropriate procedures, they should leave, and I won't cry over it. Watch the full clip here. Café con leche. Jeremy Corbyn's other half, Laura Alvarez, is less than impressed with the coffee on offer in trendy North London, the Times Diary reports today. The reporter caught up with the Labour leader at the Park Theatre in Finsbury Park, where Jez sometimes drops in for a brew. I often pop in for a coffee and to do work, Corbyn says, but adds that Alvarez, who runs a coffee importing firm, is not a fan. She complains about the coffee, Corbyn says. But she does that wherever we go. Down under, the Times also reports that Shadow Housing Minister Roberta Blackman-Woods has been in New Zealand for the past month on a family matter, and suggests Labour whips did not sign off the trip before she left. She however insists it is all above board and has been fully approved. Cooper Trooper, Commons Home Affairs Committee Chairwoman Yvette Cooper will be discussing immigration at an event organised by the British Future think tank in central London. Today in Westminster FOBT off, the Department of Culture is due to announce plans within the next few minutes to cut the maximum stake for addictive gambling machines known as Backstop betting terminals, FOBTs. The Sun and the Mail both report ministers will press ahead with a new £2 maximum stake, in what would be a major victory for anti-gambling campaigners. The industry, however, claims such a move would cause betting shops to close and cost thousands of jobs. Culture Minister Tracy Crouch and Shadow Culture Secretary Tom Watson are both out and about this morning to discuss the policy. Penny drops. Penny Mordaunt has her first outing as Women and Equalities Minister today with a session in the Commons at 10 a.m. Gun cops, frontline police officers in rural parts of the UK, may be armed with handguns for the first time due to the threat of terror attacks, police chiefs say. The National Police Chiefs Council is worried about response times to armed incidents in rural areas like Devon and Cornwall, and suggests police could be given holstered handguns to wear. The Times and the Indie both splash the story. Youthquake update: Parliament's Terrace Cafe has started serving smashed avocado with chili flakes on its breakfast menu, The Sun's Lynn Davidson reports. Earlier this week they were serving gammon. The chefs at the terrace are clearly right on trend. Case for the defense, in a sign that prime ministerial authority is perhaps not what it once was. Defense Minister Tobias Ellwood today becomes the latest member of government to publicly demand more cash for his department. In an interview with The Telegraph's Anna Mikhailova, Ellwood says Britain is not spending enough on defense and speaks wistfully of bygone days when military budgets were similar to those of the NHS. You go back to the 1970s and 1980s and there was a parity between defense spending compared with health and education, and today we have dropped back to 2% of GDP, he says. The world is getting more dangerous, we must increase our defense spending. Minister Watch Chancellor Philip Hammond is in Leeds and Edinburgh to visit financial services firms. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and Home Secretary Sajid Javid are in Staffordshire for the dedication of the memorial to British victims of terrorism overseas. Defense Secretary Gavin Williamson is in Paris for a Defense Ministers' Council. Chief Secretary to the Treasury Liz Truss is speaking at a housing conference. Universities Minister Sam Gyimah is making a speech on freedom of speech. Ex-Minister Watch, former Cabinet Office Minister Damien Green is speaking at the Reform think tank today on the thorniest of Tory topics, funding social care reform. Temporary Minister Watch Tory Whip Nigel Adams is filling in as Housing Minister while Heather Wheeler steps down temporarily for family reasons, The Sun's Harry Cole reports. Still cannot stop watching this hypnotic video of Culture Secretary Matt Hancock living his best life at PMQs yesterday. ****, a message from Dalradian. Watch our 3D animation at www.dalradian.com of one of the world's top undeveloped gold projects, which will result in $1 billion of spend, creating opportunities for business and companies across Northern Ireland. London-listed Dalradian, AIM, DALR, has raised over CAD $320 million to invest in the project so far, and we have applied for planning permission to build a safe and environmentally responsible underground mine, creating a new industry in Northern Ireland. ***, Media Round Shadow Culture Secretary Tom Watson Broadcast Round, Today Program, 7:10 a.m., Sky Sunrise, 7:30 a.m., LBC Radio, 7:50 a.m. Also on the Today program, Culture Secretary Matt Hancock, 7:55 a.m., Judith Hackett, 8:10 a.m. Also on Sky Sunrise, Culture Minister Tracy Crouch, 8 a.m. All Out Politics, Sky News, 10 a.m., Labour MP and former firefighter Jim Fitzpatrick discuss as Grenfell, 10 a.m., Playbook's own Jack Blanchard and PR guru Shimon Cohen review the newspaper comment sections, 10:15 a.m., Federica Mogherini's policy advisor Natalie Tocci and Chatham House's Leslie Benjamouri discuss the EU Western Balkans Summit, 10:30 a.m. Daily Politics, former Labour advisor Aisha Hazarika. Ian Dale at Drive, LBC Radio. International Trade Secretary Liam Fox, 4:30 p.m. Question Time, BBC One, 10:45 p.m. Broadcast tonight from Kensington. Housing Minister Dominic Raab, Shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott, former Met Police Commissioner Bernard Hoganhow, former No. 10 Policy Chief Camilla Cavendish, Guardian columnist Aditya Chakraborty. Reviewing the papers tonight, BBC News, 10:40 p.m., The Daily Mirror's political correspondent Nicola Bartlett and the London Evening Standard's Home Affairs editor Martin Bentham. Sky News, 10:30 p.m. and 11:30 p.m., Observer leader writer Sonia Soda and former UKIP aide Michael Heaver. Today's front pages, click on the publication's name to see its front page. Daily Express, killed by a coward in her own home. Daily Mail, Labour's free for all on migrants. Daily Mirror, Meghan brother exclusive, my sister will be the perfect modern princess. Financial Times, Big Four accountancy firms plan for forced breakup over Carillion. HuffPost, not Meghan Markle, Meghan is as popular as Prince Charles. Metro, Deliveroo, £10 million share deal for office staff, nothing for riders on the streets. Failed railway in public takeover. The Daily Telegraph, May, outguns Brexiteers with plan for customs ties after 2021. The Guardian, Grenfell review defies survivors' call for flammable cladding ban. The Independent, police plan to give guns to regular officers. The Sun, alone, ill and afraid, Palace won't aid Meghan dad. The Times, plan to arm rural police. On the continent, read what the rest of Europe's papers are saying in Politico's EU Press Review blog here, updated daily at around 8 a.m. Today's Newsmag's New European, taken from mugs, 2 parties, 2 years and still no clue what Brexit means. New Statesman, Israel and the Impossible War, how America's recklessness reignited the Palestinian conflict. Politico, Italy's populists see collision course with Brussels. The Spectator, the Italian job, Italy's populist revolution. Beyond the M25 from Ireland, 8 days to go, Ireland goes to the polls next Friday for its historic referendum on legalizing abortion. But as Politico's Sarah Wheaton reports, support for a yes vote is falling over concerns among some conservatives that the government's proposed liberalization goes too far. From Rome rage against the machine, Italy's incoming populist government is seeking a collision course with Brussels, Politico's Jacopo Bergazzi and Giulia Paravicini report. London calling Westminster weather, sun, it's looking like a fine summer's day, with 12 hours of unbroken sunshine and highs of 18°C. Spotted, U.S. Ambassador to the UK. Bede Johnson assembling a Brompton bicycle at a trade event in Canary Wharf the other night, and then setting off on an impromptu cycle ride around the room. Yes, of course there's video. Speak to Sadiq, Mayor of London. Sadiq Khan has his monthly question time before the London Assembly at 10 a.m. Expect the violent crime wave gripping the capital to feature heavily. Now hiring, here's an interesting one, Facebook is hiring a London-based speechwriter. Nope, me neither. Out today, Punch and Judy Politics, a terrific new book about Prime Minister's questions by former Labour Party advisors Aisha Ezarika and Tom Hamilton. The co-authors spent far too many hours of their lives prepping leaders for the grinding weekly ritual of PMQs, and as a result can offer some truly entertaining insights into the hours of thought and role-play that go on behind the scenes. And as George Osborne, one of many senior figures interviewed for the book, tells them, in the end being in the room before PMQs is the only place to be. He says, even as Chancellor I, every Wednesday, would spend the whole morning with PMQs prep. You're there with the leader, you get to hear what they think about everyone else, you pick up all the gossip. You're there as all the decisions are made on how to deal with a problem. Sherlock Gnomes, TV star Benedict Cumberbatch is to play argumentative vote leave guru Dominic Cummings in a new Channel 4 drama about the EU referendum. Hopefully screenwriter James Graham, of This House, and Ink fame, will see fit to recreate Cummings' memorable appearance before a Commons Select Committee shortly before the vote, gloriously retold here by Guardian sketch writer John Crace. Also coming to the small screen, a second series of political sketch show, Tracy Breaks the News, will hit BBC One next month. Welcome back. Former Environment Secretary Owen Paterson made his return to Parliament yesterday after breaking vertebrae in his back in a riding accident. Read his comeback interview in the Shropshire Star here. Pay cut. Channel 4 newsreader Jon Snow has taken a 25% pay cut to help close the channel's gaping gender pay gap, the Mail's diarist Sebastian Shakespeare reports. Happy birthday to Cabinet Office Minister Chloe Smith, former Cabinet Office Minister Chris Skidmore, Justice Minister Lucy Fraser, St Albans MP Anne Main, former Home Secretary Alan Johnson, former No. 10-8 and Labour peer Sunai, former Lib Dem Deputy Leader Simon Hughes. Playbook couldn't happen without my editor Zoya Sheftilovich. Subscribe to the Politico newsletter family. Brussels Playbook, London Playbook, Sunday Crunch, Brussels Influence, DC. Playbook, all our Politico pro-policy morning newsletters.